Radio Imanzi, 105.1 FM. Twese hamwe birashoboka.
We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi, news in English.
This is Radio Imanzi broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. The Inspector General of Police Dan Munyuza is in Italy for a week-long working visit. Daycare centers have transformed the lives of children of cross-border traders who live in various sectors of the Ruavu district. Tanzania has begun training border communities on preventive measures as well as screening passengers for the Ebola virus. Welcome back. News in detail. The Inspector General of Police Dan Munyuza is in Italy for a week-long working visit aimed at strengthening cooperation between the Rwanda National Police and the Italian Police Arma dei Carabinieri. The Rwandan police chief is visiting Italy at the invitation of the General Commander of the Italian Police, Lieutenant General Teo Luzzi. Munyuza and Lieutenant General Teo held a bilateral meeting in Rome and discussed matters related to strengthening the existing cooperation in various policing areas. Munyuza reiterated on the valuable existing cooperation between Carabinieri and Rwanda National Police. He describes the Carabinieri as a very strategic partner and professional law enforcement institution that has managed to maintain security and low crime rates in Italy. Daycare centers have transformed the lives of children of cross-border traders who live in various sectors of the Ruavu district. The traders used to drop off their children at the border area or shop verandas before they crossed into DRC to sell goods for the day. Those who had babies, they left them in the care of other children who also were left at the border, and sometimes they will be even forced to leave their babies alone. Sometimes it rained and the children would get sick and other parents would report their children missing. For years, children left alone at the border had to fend for themselves against hunger, weather and violence. Some of them, often between the ages of 4 and 10, used to tie babies to their backs, becoming babysitters for the day. The problem of working mothers leaving their children at the border garnered the attention of authorities. Henceforth, the Ruavu district opened a daycare center at the border in partnership with Action for the Development of the People, a local non-profit organization that advocates for vulnerable members of the community. The traders now leave their children at the daycare center before they cross to La Petite Barrière, the smaller border crossing between Gisenyi, Rwanda and Goma, DRC. The mothers return in the evening after selling their goods in DRC, where basic commodities sell for higher prices. They say they now cross over to Goma with a sense of relief as they know their children are now washed and fed by trained caregivers. According to Clemence Dushime, an employee of RBC, the daycare centers have also aided in the prevention of malnutrition and stunting among the children of cross-border trading mothers. The government intends to increase the use of non-custodial mechanisms for convicts and detainees as a result of a new policy developed by the Justice Ministry and approved by the Cabinet. The criminal justice policy aims to make more room for the use of penalties such as GPS bracelets as a substitute for detention, as well as community service and fines as penalties for some convicts, in order to reduce the number of people who end up in jail. Anastas Nawahide, Director General for Justice Sector Coordination at the Ministry of Justice, said the country is currently working to implement relevant changes in the penal law and criminal procedure law, and thus such policy comes in handy to provide guidance on that. Deserting police officers could now start facing harsher penalties, ranging from 6 to 7 years in prison, depending on the gravity of the offence, according to the new law governing Rwanda National Police. The law has been passed by the Chamber of Deputies, but it will also be tabled before the Senate for consideration and approval. It is replacing the law of 2010 determining the powers, responsibilities, organization and functioning of the Rwanda National Police. RNP spokesperson CP John Bosco Kabera said the issue of police desertion exists and the law seeks to address it. Currently, he said desertion was punished with the dismissal of the officer in question without notice. The Minister of Interior, Alfred Gasana, said the law aimed at discouraging security duty abandonment. So far, police officers who desert are given a lenient punishment as it has been treated as an administrative fault. According to the new law, an officer who gets absent from his or her unit for more than 15 consecutive days without valid reasons commits an offence of desertion. Upon conviction, he or she is liable to imprisonment for a term of not less than 1 year and not more than 2 years. In case of aggravating circumstances, the punishment increases to not less than 5 years but not more than 7 years. The government of Rwanda and the European Union have signed a financing agreement worth 69 million euros to support climate-smart and inclusive agriculture. The project is expected to support Rwanda's nationally determined contributions objective on climate adaptation by fostering the agricultural transition to socially and environmentally inclusive food systems and ensuring the country's environmental and climate sustainability. The 3-year financing agreement will be implemented in 2 forms. The first being the budget support sector reform contract of 52 million euros that will target progress achieved on farmers' incomes and better services delivery to farmers at local level, including land husbandry and climate-smart agriculture practices, with a focus on agroforestry and landscape restoration. The second form will be complementary support of 17 million euros for inclusive and sustainable high-value chains in horticulture and agriculture. Ozionda Jijimana, Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, says the financial support is a timely contribution to the National Strategy for Transformation 1, meaning for modernization and strengthening the productivity of agriculture and livestock while promoting sustainable management of the environment and natural resources to transition Rwanda towards a green economy. Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi. The Rwanda Stock Exchange Market Report. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 34,400 Rwandan francs from 800 shares of I&M Bank traded in one deal on the equities markets, while the fixed income market remained quiet. The equities market closed with Indem Bank at 43 Rwandan francs, Bredgwa at 170 Rwandan francs, Bank of Kigali at 272 Rwandan francs, Simergwa at 120 Rwandan francs, M10 Rwanda at 176 Rwandan francs, Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs, National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs, Uchumi Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs, and R8 Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. The currency market review of today. Burundian franc buying price was 0.5 and the selling price was 0.51. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.27 and the selling price was 0.271. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.44 and the selling price was 0.45. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.5 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 8.7. The euro buying price 1,013 and the selling price 1,033. The British pound buying price 1,154 Rwandan francs and the selling price 1,177. The US dollar buying price 1,033 Rwandan francs and the selling price 1,053 Rwandan francs.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
Tanzania has begun training border communities on preventive measures as well as screening passengers following the Ebola outbreak in neighboring Uganda. The trainings for local communities in 8 district councils in Kagera region, northern Tanzania, are being carried out by health services officers. The country has been on high alert since Uganda confirmed an outbreak on its soil. Kenya's retired President Uhuru Kenyatta says he will skip the scheduled peace talks between the Ethiopian government and the rebel group Tigray People's Liberation Front, citing conflicts in his schedule. Mr. Kenyatta, who is President William Ruto's peace envoy to the Horn and Great Lakes region, has been invited by the African Union Commissioner Chairperson Musa Faki Mahama as part of a troika of negotiators to help the warring parties establish terms of their dialogue. But Kenyatta today wrote to the African Union saying the dates are inconvenient, even though he did seek clarity on how the talks will be arranged in future. The talks are scheduled for Sunday in South Africa. South Africa today launched a French-backed forum to promote democracy among young people in Africa 1 year after the idea was unveiled at a French-African summit. A Cameroonian intellectual and man behind the idea, Achille Mbembe, said the forum aims to connect the African youth from all backgrounds at a time of common challenges for democracy in both Africa and Europe. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has named former Federal Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, the recipient of the 2022 UNHCR Nansen Refugee Award. The award recognizing an individual, group or organization that has gone above and beyond the call of duty to protect refugees, internally displaced and stateless people. It is named after Norwegian explorer, scientist, diplomat and humanitarian Fridtjof Nansen. The UN agency says in 2015 to 2016, during her reign, the country gave home to more than 1.2 million refugees and asylum seekers. At the time, there were at least 49 armed conflicts in 28 states and territories, including Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Colombia, Cyprus, Syria, Thailand, and Turkey. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.